ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूनां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधो विधीयते। So in this Tattva Bodha text, we have come to the last portion where we'll have to study the result of knowledge, result of this wisdom, this knowledge of the Tattva, the essence. So the previous topic that we studied is also a very important topic. It talks about karma. Basically, it talks about the karma theory. What are the three types of karma? And it said the three types of karma are sanchita, agami, and prarabdha. These are the three types of karma. Because before coming to karma, he talked about an enlightened person. He said an enlightened person goes beyond all karmas. For an enlightened person, there is no karma whatsoever. So if for an enlightened person there are no karmas, then please explain what are these karmas which he has gone beyond. So what are the types of karmas? How many karmas are there? So if it is asked, how many kinds of karmas are there? The reply is, there are three kinds of karmas, namely agami, sanchita, and prarabdha. So he puts it like this: agami, sanchita, and prarabdha. Then he discusses about all these three karmas from the point of view of ajnani and jnani. So what Vedanta is saying is, or Advaita Vedanta is saying is, everything is nothing but Brahman, the pure consciousness alone. There is nothing else other than that pure consciousness. The potential of not understanding Brahman as Brahman exists in Brahman. That potential is called as Maya, Maya Shakti. So this Maya Shakti plus Brahman we call as Ishvara. This Sukshma Prapancha, subtle world, and the Sthula Prapancha, the gross world, has come from that Maya. Maya is the material cause. Ishvara is the intelligent cause. So Ishvara, who is nothing but Maya Sahita Brahman, is actually the cause of this world, cause of this universe. Upadana Karanam is the Maya, Nimitta Karanam is Ishvara. So this world is not something other than Ishvara. If this world is not something other than Ishvara, then you, the individual, the Jiva, is also not other than Ishvara, Brahman. So to explain this, we said, wave is also nothing but ocean, and ocean is nothing but water. So this is the Advaita Vedanta. You are water, you are that pure consciousness. Tat Tvam Asi. you have to shift your identification from this body, mind, intellect to the Atma within. As you think, so shall you become. The more you identify with Brahman, Atman, you become Brahman. So, what Vedanta says is, the moment you assume that you are this jiva, this individual, that very moment the world comes. The moment you think you are this individual, then the world also comes simultaneously. So in Vedanta we say, when did this world begin? When you woke up this morning. When you woke up this morning, you say, I, Lakshmi Narayan. The moment I say, I, Lakshmi Narayan, then the world, the friends, relatives, enemies, flora, fauna, everything. You and the world come together. And you feel a sense of limitation, identifying only with this body, mind, intellect complex. So therefore, Dvitiya Bhayam Bhavati. The moment the duality comes, plurality comes, fear, jealousy, greed, all comes, which is what we call as samsara. And we are caught in this samsara. Whole life goes in protecting ourselves from this onslaught. That's how we are living. Instead of just coming, enjoying, we are doing this to protect this jiva. So, we are caught, we are bound. We do actions, then they will have reactions. In this action and reaction, we are bound. The result, when it is good, called punya. The result, when it is bad, called papa. We are tied in this pap and punya. Now, does this happen to animals also? To the other species? No. Why? Because their intellect is not that grown up or developed as it is in the human being. So therefore, their awareness of their ego is very limited. In the case of human being, it is much more pronounced. They live a programmed living. They don't have choice of action. So you won't say bad tiger, good tiger, bad lion, good lion. There is no such thing. Only when it comes to human being, you say that. Why? Because only human beings have motive. Animals have no motive. When they are hungry, they may hunt and eat because that's how they are programmed. They have no choice to eat the grass. They cannot eat the grass, they don't have the choice. They program them. So there is no motive. So therefore, this karma is not there for the other species. The karma is there only for the human being. So we say, because human being alone has this ego, I, awareness, much more pronounced than the animals and plants. So therefore, with the motive, the human being does many things. Accordingly, the bondage. So Vedanta says, once you are born as a human being, now you create karmas. Good, bad, whatever, punya and papa. And like that you keep creating, and this total karmas that you've created over many janmas put together is what is called as sanchita. From that sanchita, the total collection, some require immediate fructification that manifests and gives rise to this birth, this present birth. It's called prarabdha. And that prarabdha again happens to be of human birth. you can create fresh karma or exhaust the total sanchita. The fresh karmas that you create is called agami. This is called agami. Now what happens to this agami karma? This agami karma at the time of the death of the person again gets mixed with the sanchita. So the ignorant person means ignorant of one's nature, who thinks himself to be the jiva, the whale, keeps creating karma. So, keeps creating agami, which adds up to the sanchita, and then from that next prarabdha comes. And then this cycle goes on. So this is with reference to Ajnani. Ajnani means one who doesn't know that he is Atma, Brahman, indivisible, not individual. This he doesn't know, he or she. So therefore he keeps creating agami, which adds to sanchita. Then the next prarabdha comes. Then the whole cycle goes on. Punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam. It goes on. This is what he's saying. So we also saw. So now if you ask, so that means this karma is only for human beings. So that means till the time human beings come into existence, then there is no question of creating karma and sanchita and all that. Then does it mean that initially only human beings came? Vedanta says, I explained this to you last class. Vedanta very clearly says, once you get into all this discussion, if you, just for the sake of arguing, if you argue, then Vedanta will give some answers to that. But if you genuinely ask, Vedanta will say, listen, there is no answer to this question. How did this vasana come first? The ignorance created. It is beginningless. We studied already. Ajnanam, ignorance is beginningless. Brahman is also beginningless. But this ajnanam can be ended through jnanam. So, he says, when as a human being, you start the process of inquiry and start reflecting with the help of the Guru and the Shastra, you can exhaust the sanchita, the total, through jnanam. What jnanam? Aham Brahma Asmi iti jnanam. But I am Brahman. So once you know that you are Brahman and you are established in that, what happens? That false identity which you have been identifying with dissolves. What dissolves? The ego dissolves. The karta dissolves. When karta dissolves, the kartrutva dissolves, karma dissolves. Karma is always for whom? Karta. When you understand that I am not the karta, I am the pure consciousness, I am not the doer, then what happens? Karma also dissolves. That very instance, sanchita dissolves. Not only sanchita dissolves, agami also dissolves. Meaning they don't have any effect in binding you anymore. But what about prarabdha? This is the bullet that has already been fired. So that will have its course. So prarabdha will only get exhausted through experience. What experience? Sukha, dukkha, papa, punya. You have to go through that. But for all practical purposes, one who has got this knowledge while living and exhausted sanchita and agami, who is called as Jivan Mukta, even though the prarabdha is going on, therefore the body is going on, therefore the sukha dukkha and all that he or she experiences, as far as they are concerned, they are disconnected with it, they have nothing to do with it, it doesn't affect them also. You and me are seeing their body, they are experiencing certain things, so this explanation is given. Another example given to explain that is, when you switch on the fan and it is running at 5 speed or 4 speed or whatever, if you switch it off, it doesn't come to halt immediately. It continues because of the momentum. Similarly, because of that momentum, it continues in the enlightened soul also. But he or she is called Jivan Muktaha, liberated while living. The Jnanam liberates that I am not the individual, but I am indivisible. I am not the wave, I am ocean, I am technically water. And this so-called walls of the gross body and subtle body cannot divide me, like how the walls of a room does not divide space. We in common parlance may say room space, kitchen space, bathroom space, lounge space and all that. But walls are gross, space is subtle, space pervades each and every pore of the wall also. So space is inside the wall and outside. It is not divided by the wall. Similarly, the pure consciousness, Atma, Brahman, is not divided by this body. That stupidity is gone, dissolved as far as he or she is concerned. They have become one. Only you and me, since we have the division, we are seeing it. The division is in our head. We are seeing. This is the problem. See, you are having cataract or you are having jaundice. Therefore, you are seeing it in a particular way. And you are asking, why is it like this? And they are explaining. And you cannot understand that they are not seeing it that way. Only when the jaundice is removed, you are healthy again. Then you understand. This is the problem. So therefore, prarabdha can only be exhausted through experience. Here also some people discuss like some prarabdha which are very strong, some are very weak. The weak prarabdha can be exhausted through certain prayaschitta and all. These are all, like I said, for discussion's sake, they keep going. But the idea of studying all this is what? There should be no resistance. In the case of animals, there is no resistance because they're programmed that way. In the case of human beings, there is resistance because of our karta bhav. But when gaining this knowledge, or as you are gaining this knowledge, slowly, you stop resisting. You start accepting. The very fact that you start accepting with the change of attitude when you face the karma, I'm not getting into the details of the sanchita, agami, prarabdha, whatever karma it is. You now say, I will face them. I will not resist them. I will accept them. Then using my intellect, I'll see how I can function. This itself will not have that much affectation upon you as you had before once you understand all these things. So you start beginning to accepting, facing challenges, living life rather than shunning life. So it's wrong to say that a person who understands Vedanta will leave the world. There is no question of leaving the world. He or she will face the challenges. But the attitude is different. Therefore, no affectation. So, This is how it is. Now, once you become a jnani, for the jnani no sanchita, for the jnani no agami, that goes, okay. But here, very interestingly, Adi Shankara says something little different from what we've been always studying. So he says, he talks about the agami karma of the enlightened soul. Now, when we say agami karma of the enlightened soul, it could mean the enlightened soul also was initially a jnani. He did or she did whatever tapas and all that through jnanam, got enlightened. For so many years, the person remained a jnani, then through jnanam became jnani. So till that time he became jnani, he also created agami in this janma. What happens to the effect of it? That is one way of looking at it. Other is, after the person is enlightened, you and me are seeing him acting in the world. Action will have its own reactions. What will happen to those reactions? And also, you see, an enlightened person acts without any motive. But the enlightened person also will act based on the data. So if the data was limited based on the available data with no motive, the person takes certain actions, which can have certain results, what you call as papa and punya. But since they have no identification with it, no motive, it doesn't go to them. So who does it go to? So he says, for the people who identify with the enlightened soul positively, who serve them, the punyas go. Who detest them, who hate them, the papa go. Because they are identified with that person's body and actions. Therefore, the karma goes to them. In the sense, it is either conducive or non-conducive for that person. This karma works like that only. What you resist will persist. You are attaching and you are creating karma. So, therefore, the karma effect comes to you, he says. But for all practical purposes, you understand, for the enlightened soul, no agami, no sanchita, strictly speaking, no prarabdha also. But since we are seeing that person's body continuing living, all actions are going on, he says it's because of prarabdha. A person from inside, absolutely no affectation whatsoever. So many enlightened souls may go through some physical disease and all that. It's all due to their prarabdha. And as far as they are concerned, absolutely no problem. There are stories talked about where an enlightened soul had some problem in one of his feet. And when God appeared and said, take some boon, I don't want anything, I'm paripurna. No, you have to take. Then he said, okay, shift the wound from the right leg to the left leg. Because he doesn't know what to ask. So, the paripurnatvam brings absolute contentment, fulfillment. Thereafter, they are not, strictly speaking, having any karma, no obligation, no nothing. Now, when you say that they don't have any obligation, doesn't mean that they become irresponsible. In fact, they express their nature, whatever is their prarabdha. Like I said, if it's dance or sing or engineering, medicine, whatever, express it with no motive whatsoever. And also we've discussed this. Can that person do adharma? Not person. Because adharma has the root in what? Ego. Adharma has the root in ego. Ego karta is destroyed. So there is no question of adharma. There is only dharma. You understand? From that person's point of view. So therefore, it is impossible. Thereafter, that person's actions will naturally be for the loka sangraha. So it's not like you consciously, then you say, I can do whatever I want. No, it's not that they become licentious. They become free. That's what the topic is. Actions and freedom from bondage in actions. They become absolutely free from any bondage. Thereafter, they are not acting to attain anything. They are not acting for attainment. They are thereafter acting out of attunement. Totally different. We are all acting for attainment of something because there is lack. They don't act for attainment of anything. They act out of attunement with the divinity within, which is their original nature, which they are. And therefore, their actions are all just expressions. Absolutely in the present, moment to moment. Not bound. This is that state of enlightenment that they get into. So, once you gain the knowledge, all karmas are gone. All karmas are gone. So it doesn't matter how much karma you have. It doesn't matter what amount of dry hay you have. How many gunny bags of dry hay you have doesn't matter. What matters is you just need one matchstick. You strike it, and then when it catches fire, you throw it in the pile. Immaterial of the quantity, it destroys everything. So, jnanam destroys everything. So instead of worrying, I am such a big puppy and this and that, don't worry. It doesn't matter how long you've been puppy. What matters is now are you in the process of gaining that knowledge? Have you put yourself in the fire of knowledge? Then as the awareness, continues, increases, it burns up all the karmas. Everything goes. That's why we say gain this knowledge, gain this knowledge. Don't we get into, sometimes in these discussions, is this prarabdha? Is this sanchita? Is this aga? Don't get into that. This is not the scope of this discussion. Not to get into whether this could be prarabdha, this could be sanchita. How does it matter? Anyway, prarabdha cannot be destroyed through knowledge. And knowledge will destroy the other karmas. You do that. I waste time in all this unnecessary intellectual discussion. Achieving, what are we going to achieve from that? Nothing. So, therefore, main thing is gaining this knowledge. And this knowledge is not the information. The information will help you to bring about the transformation in a very quiet mind. Therefore, all the qualifications and everything that we discussed before becomes important. In a very, very quiet mind, quiet time, you sit and inquire, and in the very solitude, the transformation happens. And whenever it happens, instantly you become free. That's the point. When we say instantly you become free, means what? You have always been free. You realize that you have always been free. In between, you thinking that you are bound is your stupidity. That you will know when you wake up, when you become free. Now you can't fool yourself saying I am free. When you gain that knowledge, and the identification with the body, mind, intellect goes through the knowledge, instantly the total identification is gained. The river merges with the ocean. When that happens, you realize that I have always been free. I am Nitya Muktaha. And from your angle, there is no world, there is nothing. Only then, not now. So, this is the power of that knowledge, what it can do to you. That he is discussing now. The result of knowledge. That's the next topic. Let me share the screen. So, this is the last discussion in this text. The result of self-knowledge. Tata cha atmavit samsaram tirtva brahmanandamihaiva prapnoti tarati shokam atmavit iti shrutehe tanum tyajatva kashyam swapaschasya grihetava jnana samprapti samaye muktosau vigatashayah iti smritescha. He says, thus, the knower of the self, having crossed samsara, attains supreme bliss here itself. Here means now, in the present. Here, in the now, in the present itself. The Shruti affirms the knower of the self goes beyond all sorrow. Let the wise man cast off his body in Kashi or in the house of a dog eater. It is immaterial because at the time of gaining knowledge itself, he is liberated, being freed from all the results of his actions. So assert the Smritis too. The Shruti and Smriti, so if you know, but again, let's understand what it is. Shruti means what is heard. Smriti means what is remembered. Both are scriptures. Shruti is heard by the enlightened masters in the deep meditative state when the ego is dissolved. The divinity speaks through them. That's why it's called heard. Other is by those enlightened masters remembering the texts were given. They are called Smriti. So Vedas are called Shruti. Bhagavad-gita is called both Shruti and Smriti, etc. So now, in both Shruti and Smriti, this is mentioned. If you ask, what is the pramanam for all this? And what is authority? Oh, you are saying or what? He says, no, both Shruti and Smriti affirms this. What does it affirm? It says, the knower of the self, having crossed samsara, samsarati iti samsara, that which keeps changing, revolving. That is called samsara. He crosses that, meaning what? He becomes changeless and he experiences the supreme bliss here and now itself. That very instance, the identity with the river is gone. The very identity river dissolves. Instantly, the ocean identity takes over. Paripurnatvam come. Supreme bliss come. So it is not a loss. It is a gain. To gain that, you have to be ready to lose this. It's not possible. You understand? It's not possible if you're not ready to lose this. So that's why he says, the knower of the self instantly crosses over all the samsara. So the samsara is due to what? Attachment. And that attachment comes from ignorance. Isn't it? Ignorance of the rope projects the snake. The moment you see the snake, fear, everything comes. It's called sorrow. So the Shruti affirms the knower of the self goes beyond all sorrow. So in our life, all we are doing is to dissolve our sorrow. And we are trying all methods. We gain this knowledge, that knowledge, we do this, that, everything possible. But the sorrow doesn't go. If at all it goes temporarily, it goes. It doesn't go. So the Shruti says it will only go when the individuality goes. As long as the individuality exists, the samsara exists, the sorrow exists, you can do nothing about it. What we are doing foolishly is going on rearranging. We are plunged in the dark room, we are rearranging the furniture not to get hurt. You will get hurt in spite of all your rearranging because you are plunged in darkness. So instead of that, if you switch on the light, instantly you become free. That's all he's saying. So therefore, only upon gaining the knowledge of the self, there is redemption. Without the knowledge of the self, there is no redemption. You will continue the sorrow. So in Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 7, the discussion is Narad Muni went to Sanat Kumaras and he asked, how to get rid of the sorrow. He said, only when you gain the knowledge of the self. So they asked him, what all you know? He mentioned many things. All this will not help you to get rid of the sorrow. All this may help you for transactional purpose in this world. That's all. But unless and until your identification with this limited self is dissolved and the identification with the total is gained, sorrow is not going to end, it will continue. And for a person who's still identifying with the body, for him only or her only, all this concern. What time of the day I die, which place I die. My prana is going to leave me through Urdhva or not. All this matters to that fellow. For the liberated, it doesn't matter. So that fellow who is ignorant, he is worried about all these things. So he is thinking, let me go and die in Kashi. I should not die in the negative environment. I should die in positive environment. I should die at the positive time. Uttarayanam, not in Dakshinayanam. And then the prana should be escaping through my skull. Then I will have Urdhva. All this, they are concerned. Like in today's world, we say, how am I going to die? Will I die in ICU? I want to die in sleep. I want to have a good death. I don't like to suffer and die. All this, because you're still identified with the body, death frightens you. When you have stopped identifying with the body, what can death do to you? Death can do nothing to you. Because you have gone beyond the birth itself. The problem of death doesn't dissolve by comforts and rearrangements for the body. The problem of death dissolves when you realize that you are not born. When you realize that you are not born, till then this will be there. So therefore he says, let the, wise man cast off his body in Kashi or in the house of dog eater. Meaning the Ashuddha environment, that's all. Shuddha environment, Ashuddha environment. Now in today's context, we have destroyed even Kashi. But still, many people have done so much tapasya. In Kashi and Himalayas, when you go, so many people have done tapas and still so many people are doing. Even though a lot of commercial activities and this has come, still those good vibes are there. So people think, I should go and die there. I should go and die. People are more concerned about these things. So he says, as far as the enlightened person is concerned, at the time of gaining knowledge itself, he is liberated. So, he is a Jivan Mukta. And thereafter, when the body dies, he becomes Videha Mukta. There is no more birth because Sanchita is gone, Agami is gone, Prarabdha is also exhausted, there is nothing left. Therefore, he says, at the time of gaining the knowledge of the self itself, he is liberated, being free from all the results of his action. So assert the smritis also. Smritis too. So you have the authority of Shruti and Smriti talking about this. Both Shruti and Smriti emphasizes this. The moment the the doll made of salt, touches the ocean, it dissolves. It becomes the ocean. So the whole idea is, therefore, to gain that knowledge. That's all. To see that self shining within. Once you see that, your life will be completely transformed. Like I said, thereafter you don't act thereafter you don't act to attain anything. You act out of attunement. Not to achieve any attainment, but out of attunement. Simply expressing. Immaterial of what the outside factors are. Outside meaning body, mind, intellect, the world, everything. Body itself becomes outside. In fact, in Tamil, not in the cities anymore, but when you go to Tamil Nadu, into the villages and all, down south when you go, people, when they say, I'm going to take bath, they say that in Tamil, Melukku Utittu varen, means I'm going to pour some water on my outside personality, outer layer, upar, outer layer. So, this also is outside. Body becomes outside. For us now, I am the body. For them, the body is outside. They've gone beyond, they become liberated. So, whatever may be the condition at the body level, mind level, intellect level, world level, they are liberated. Immaterial of whatever may be the condition, they remain in supreme bliss. Whether people appreciate, whether people criticize, they remain in supreme bliss. Whether they are going through some disease at the body level or having healthy body, they are in supreme bliss. They blissfully express themselves. In fact, that person only is living life Rest of us are not really living. Like we say, we are pulling on. Somehow chalta hai bhai. So what Vedanta is saying is, for transactional purpose, you gain all other knowledges, like the knowledges, Narada Muni had. You also have. It will help you. But not at the cost of self-knowledge. That is all Vedanta is saying. Vedanta is not saying don't gain that knowledge. That knowledge you don't gain at the cost of this knowledge. When you gain that knowledge and you gain this knowledge, it is going to be a completely different way of living thereafter. You will become objective and free. With freedom, you will use the worldly knowledge for the benefit of the world and yourself. That's all Vedanta is saying. Therefore, it says, gain this knowledge. And it says, this is the most important knowledge, essential knowledge. Then you are not bothered whether you die here, there, wherever. How does it matter? You don't talk about death. You only live. If you see today, our life is all escaping death, preventing death, or fighting with death, or charcha is with Yama. For an enlightened soul, there is no charcha with Yama. Simply lives absolutely free. That is all it is. So therefore, it really doesn't matter what time you die, which place you die, whether you will have Urdhvagati or, Adhamagati, all this you don't worry. So, we are wasting our time in all these things. Understand? They have a role to play. No. Many things Narada Muni knew. Science, arts, music, this, that. Okay. There is the story of a Pandit who was traveling in a boat. While traveling, he had tremendous ego that he is a great Pandit. He studied this scripture, that scripture, and all that. So he asked the ferryman, have you studied this text? This Upanishad, that Upanishad, Gita, etc. He said, no sir, no sir, no sir. And then something happened. And there was a hole in the boat suddenly developed. Water started seeping in. So the ferryman asked, do you know swimming? He said, no. Then he said, may God be with you. He jumped and escaped. This fellow completely perished. See, the story is, we know all these things, but what is essential we don't. And then we ask this question, final stage, what is essential? If we may be genuinely asking, we may be genuinely interested. But in the final stage, since we have not done any proper preparation, even little bit exercise we have not done for the body, so body cannot sit. Even to listen, to study, little bit it has to sit down, can't sit down. So much worry, anxiety. You can't study this, it won't go. So we say, it is better you learn these things when you are young. And let the culture be of preparation for this from the time you are born. That's how the Sanatana Dharma way of living is. This is the goal. For this you prepare from the childhood. Everything is towards that. So then, when you are young, you have learnt many other sciences along with the inner science. Then, slowly through Grahastha Ashrama, you get rid of the bulk of the vasanas. Then you come to Vanaprastha and Sannyas, where you focus more in knowledge, and then through knowledge, you liberate. This is the whole concept. whole idea. So he says, both Shruti and Smriti emphasizes this. What is important is gain the knowledge and get completely transformed. Iti Tattva Bodha Prakaranam Samaptam. Meaning what? Thus ends the Prakarana called Tattva Bodha. It's an introductory text. The introductory text itself has explained everything to us. You understand? Beautifully what Adi Shankara did for us. Initially he talked about Adhikaratvam. Then he got into Jiva Vichara. Then he got into Ishvara Vichara. Then he got into Jiva Ishvara Aikya Sambandham. Right? Then the prayojanam of this knowledge. Beautifully, this was explained in this way in Tattva Bodha. So, we now get the big picture, we understand. So therefore, I need to gain this knowledge. Theoretically, we know, but I want that transformation. If that has to happen, I need to now start working on qualifications. Adhikaratvam. With the Adhikaratvam, I need to get into the inquiry of the truth. What is the truth? Then we get into real, unreal. Say Atma is real. Everything else is unreal. Then what is that? Then the discussion went, the Atma is, he first negated all the Anatma and then asserted Atma. He studied all this. He beautifully analyzed the Anatma as gross, subtle, causal bodies, which goes through 3 states of consciousness, taking dream, deep sleep. And it has Pancha Kosha, the 5 sheets, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. All these 11. He said, all these 11, you are not. You are that Atma, Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. Then he went into the discussion about the universe, Maya, Ishvara. Then he explained all that, then how the creation has come about. Then he talked about the oneness of Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva Ishvara Aikya Sambandham. That knowledge liberates you. That's the prayojanam. Prayojanam is what? You destroy all sorrow and begin to live. So what is this knowledge all about? It is about life and living. This knowledge makes you live your life totally. How can you gain this knowledge which helps you to live totally when you have lived your life and at the end of your life you want to gain this knowledge, if at all you want to gain? Therefore we say, when you are young itself, you should gain this. Then begin to live your life. To the extent this knowledge is digested, to that extent you live your life. You completely live your life. Till then you are not living your life. Till then we are only meandering. We are somehow existing. So he says, this Tattva Bodha text is ended now. After giving all this explanation. Adhikaratvam, Jiva Vichara, Srishti Vichara or Ishvara Vichara. And then Jiva Ishvara Aikya Sambandham. And then Prayojanam, the benefit, enlightenment, complete dissolution of sorrow, samsara nivarti. Samsara goes only upon knowing the self. Till then you continue in samsara. You do what you want. You stand on your head, you do whatever, it's not going to go. By that action, only through knowledge, it is going to go. So you gain that knowledge. All other things, if it helps you to qualify to gain that knowledge, please do. In fact, you should do. You're not against it. But understand that knowledge alone gives you liberation. And it gives you liberation instantly. It doesn't, I gave you the example, it doesn't matter how much quantity of dry hay you have. What matters is just one matchstick which is striked and caught fire. Throw that, it's enough to burn the whole thing. How long you've been closing your eyes doesn't matter. The moment you open, instantly you see, instantly you get the vision. You see the world. Exactly like that alone, that change in understanding. You are not born in the world. World is projected on you. It's ulta. We are all ulta. उसको ठीक कर देंगे, सही कर देंगे. That is this knowledge. So, topsy-turvy living becomes normal, real living. See, Yudhishthira, after becoming the king, after conquering the Kauravas, he was established as the king. He was ruling, but still he was not having peace. He asked, what knowing which nothing remains to be known? What worshipping which nothing remains to be worshipped? Like that he asked question. Sri Krishna said, let's go to Bhishma Pitama, who is lying on the bed of arrows. And we'll ask him, let him say. And they go there and he is asking Yudhishthira. When Yudhishthira asks, Bhishma Pitamaga gives the answer. That is Vishnu Sahasranama. It starts with Vishwam Vishnuhu. This world is nothing but Vishnu. Once you know that, all samsara drops. So you can be king, you can be whatever you want. We are all trying to become emperors. Becoming emperor means what? You are thinking you are enslaved. So that has to go. There is nothing to become. You are already. You are already emperor. So you don't try to become an emperor by acquisitions, amassing. You become an emperor when you gain the knowledge. That's all he says. Thus, by God's grace and Guru's Kripa, we have also studied the Tattva Bodha. When we have studied Tattva Bodha means what? We have to keep on reflecting on them till we realize the self, till we bring about the transformation. Like I said, all these classes are held not because the teachers know unenlightened. This is a sadhana for them, for enlightenment. For the others also it's sadhana. So we get an opportunity to study so that we can see how we can rise. That's the idea. Not because we know, not with that ego. Dissolve the ego. Let's conclude the class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.